Monsters is a show about the worst human beings on the planet. Viewer discretion is advised. If you'd like to support the show, the easiest way is to donate a few bucks at buymeacoffee.com/monsters. There's more information about supporting us in the video's info or at our website thisismonsters.com/support. Lisa Montgomery was scheduled to be executed on December 8, 2020, but due to two of her attorneys contracting COVID-19, the execution date was pushed back to January 12, 2021, which just so happens to be today. Then U.S. District Court Judge Randolph Moss ruled that the execution date was not set, quote, in accordance with the law, end quote, and prohibited a new execution date to be set until after the new year. On January 1st, a U.S. Court of Appeals vacated Moss's ruling and reinstated Montgomery's execution date for the 12th, today. So, here we are. Now, of course I recorded this a few days ago, so I can't say for sure whether or not she will actually be executed today, but we're going to talk about her anyway. I feel a little like a time traveler talking about events that haven't happened yet as if they have, so I'm going to keep doing that. I had surgery on my nose yesterday. I pre-recorded a bunch of stuff, so don't worry, the videos are still coming. But I'm not sure how quickly I'll be able to record again. If I can, I will add last-minute updates at the end of the video if anything changes. So without further ado, this is Monsters. Lisa Montgomery's history of abuse started when she was only 3 years old. She would share a bed with her 8-year-old half-sister, Diane, while Diane was being raped by their male babysitter. Montgomery began being sexually assaulted by her stepfather, Jack Kleiner, when she was 11 years old. She had already lived her childhood through his drunken beatings of her and her mother, but now she was being raped weekly. Over the next 4 years, her stepfather would build a room just for Montgomery and her sister that was attached to their trailer. They lived out in the woods, and Kleiner was able to do whatever he wanted with the girls in that room, and nobody could hear them. If Montgomery resisted, the man would slam her head into the concrete floor. Later MRI scans would show that she actually suffered traumatic brain injury during the assaults. During an interview with a clinical psychologist that took place years after her arrest, Montgomery said that one time her mom walked in on her being sexually assaulted by Kleiner, and instead of being angry at her husband, she put a gun to her daughter's head and screamed, quote, "How could you do this to me?" end quote. Her mother would duct tape her mouth to keep her quiet and forced her to strip naked and stand on the front porch in front of drunken visitors. Eventually, her stepfather would invite friends over to rape Montgomery, and her mother would pay construction workers for odd jobs by offering them her daughter. Montgomery got married to Carl Bowman at 18 years old as a means of escaping from her torturous home life. The couple had 4 children, but eventually this relationship was also filled with abuse. After having her 4th child prematurely, the doctor recommended that she have a tubal ligation, which she did in 1990. That's the process of surgically cutting and tying off the fallopian tubes so that a woman can no longer get pregnant. Montgomery claimed to be pregnant twice after she had had the procedure, which her husband didn't believe. Her and Bowman eventually divorced. In 2000, she married her second husband, Kevin Montgomery. While testifying during his wife's trial, he admitted that Lisa had lied about being pregnant a number of times between 2001 and 2004. He initially believed her because she would gain weight, have morning sickness, and her breasts would swell. He explained that Lisa's sister, Patty Baldwin, had told him that she could not have children, but he still believed that she could have been pregnant. In 2004, her first husband, Carl Bowman, threatened to expose her lies. He testified in court that he was going to use her history of fake pregnancies to gain custody of 2 of their 4 children. He said that she had called him on December 15, 2004, and told him that she was going to prove him wrong. It seems that this was at least one of the motivations for what she decided to do next. On the same day that she had called Bowman, Montgomery, using the name Darlene Fisher, met Bobbie Jo Stinnet in an online chat room. The chat room, called Ratter Chatter, was for people to discuss rat terrier dogs. The two chatted about their pregnancies, and Montgomery eventually emailed Stinnet and arranged to go to her home and buy a rat terrier from her. The next day, Montgomery arrived at Stinnet's home in Skidmore, Missouri, where she armed herself with a length of rope and a stainless steel knife. Once Bobbie Jo opened the door, Montgomery pushed her way in and used the rope to strangle the pregnant woman from behind. Once she was unconscious, Montgomery began cutting her unborn baby out of her. Bobbie Jo was not dead though, and she regained consciousness while Montgomery was cutting into her. When the woman began to struggle again, Montgomery strangled her for a second time. This time, she was able to remove the infant, cut the umbilical cord, and take the child with her back to her home in Melvern, Kansas, about 2.5 hours from Skidmore. Only an hour later, Bobbie Jo's mother, Becky Harper, would discover her daughter lying in a pool of blood on the floor. When she called 911, she told the operator that it looked like her daughter's stomach had exploded. Paramedics tried to revive her, but they were unsuccessful. Bobbie Jo was pronounced dead at the hospital, and it was clear that whoever killed her also kidnapped the baby that was growing inside of her. Montgomery had gone back home and told her husband that she had given birth to the baby in Topeka, Kansas, which was about 40 miles or 65 kilometers north of where they lived in Melvern. She claimed that she had gone to Topeka to do some shopping, and when she went into labor, she delivered the baby at the Birth and Women's Center. The following day, the couple spent most of the day showing the baby to various people around town. They went to a cafe and the bank before taking the baby to Kevin Montgomery's parents' house. Then they stopped by a convenience store and the Osage County Courthouse before arriving back home, where they were approached by law enforcement officers. As soon as it was clear that a missing baby was involved in the crime, authorities went to work trying to find the perpetrator. A witness had said that they saw a dirty red two-door car that was most likely an import parked at the Stinnet house earlier that day. They quickly put out an Amber Alert for a newborn baby and also heavily utilized the computer forensics department. They were able to track the online communications between Montgomery and Stinnet. They contacted multiple internet service providers and finally traced the emails from Darlene Fisher to the Montgomery home. Authorities began surveillance on the home and saw Montgomery pull up in a dirty red Toyota Corolla with a newborn baby. When FBI agents approached the couple and began asking about the baby, Montgomery told them the same thing she had told everyone else. She had given birth to the baby at the birthing center in Topeka the previous day. That's when the agents informed her that they had checked with that birthing center and they had no record of her. Lisa Montgomery broke down and confessed to the murder and kidnapping. While being interviewed by authorities, she claimed that she had lost a baby to miscarriage earlier that year when she was 6 months along. Authorities initially believed that the grief from losing a baby so far along in a pregnancy was the motive for this crime, but they eventually learned that Montgomery was not able to become pregnant due to having a tubal ligation in 1990. Psychologists for the defense claimed that Montgomery suffered from pseudocyesis, which is when a woman believes she's pregnant when she isn't. The condition can actually be so severe that a woman's belly can grow and they can begin lactating. The prosecution did not believe this was the case and argued that Montgomery was a pathological liar. They had forensic psychiatrist Park Dietz testify that Montgomery was not suffering from any mental illness. Dietz, who was also involved in the Andrea Yates trial, said, quote, "It is my opinion within a reasonable medical certainty that at the time of the charged homicide and kidnapping, the defendant did not suffer from a serious mental disease or defect." End quote. On October 22, 2007, Lisa Montgomery was found guilty of murder and was sentenced to death. She appealed the decision on grounds of ineffective counsel, but her request was denied by the Supreme Court in 2012. An execution date was set for December 8, 2020, but as I said before, it got delayed and is currently set for today. It's not clear if the execution will happen today, but I will update you with any new developments. The infant, who was named Victoria Jo Stinnet, survived the ordeal and was reunited with her father. Her birthday is now a constant reminder of the day her mother died. You can read more about this case in the book Baby Be Mine by Diane Fanning or Murder in the Heartland by M. William Phelps. This is not the only time Skidmore, Missouri has been in the news. In 1981, the entire town banded together and killed the town bully Ken Rex McElroy. You can hear about it on our list of 5 vigilantes. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and make sure to hit the subscribe button to ensure you don't miss a video. Also, remember that if you'd like to support the show, you can find information on how to do that in the video's info or at thisismonsters.com/support. Thanks again.